Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to The Bottom Shelf.
Dallas?
What?
What the heck is this?
I don't know.
What are these? What are these?
Those are VHSs.
No. Bro,
Yes.
No. You don't understand. I just pulled these out of the dumpster. What is Bloodsport and Kickboxer doing in the dumpster? Bro, these were fantastic.
Were they?
Bro. You remember in the Chronicles of Narnia when Aslan's like, "Don't quote the ancient magics to me, which I was there when the ancient magics were formed," Yeah. Well, like that's me when it comes to like these 80s action films. Like I was there. Like this is my child. What, dude? They had Temple of Doom down there.
What? No way.
Seriously.
Better than Last Dragon, I guess.
Prepare yourself to discover a world of terrible movies. High above the planet Geekery, a group of intrepid explorers hover over the dangerous planet in their fabulous super-orbital spacecraft. Their mission? To conduct a complete analysis of movies known throughout the universe as terrible. So grab your space popcorn, grab your freeze-dried ice cream, and join us for today's mission of discovery and wonder. Are these movies better than the galaxy thinks? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf?
Hello, movie lovers and movie haters, and welcome to The Bottom Shelf, the place where every movie has a place. I'm Dallas, and with me, joining me on this adventure is John.
That's me.
Who is very upset today. Fortunately, John, this is a show that lets people know they're loved and they're cared for. So, John, you're loved, you're cared for. Calm down, relax. Breathe slow. Woofsa.
I honestly feel like somebody is mocking me or like insulting me. Like, bro, these movies define 1988 and 1989 for me. Like, seriously,
Wow.
Not only can I not, but I won't. I will not.
Wow.
I cannot and I will not, sir. This needs to be addressed. We need to show the world that these movies do not belong in the dumpster. That is my mission this month, maybe. Please.
Okay. I mean, sure. Why not? They're here. You've already pulled them out of the dumpster. You've knocked off the grease. Let's fire up the VHS player. What are we doing?
Do we have a VHS player?
What do you think we've been watching these on?
I thought these were on film. Well, that explains the resolution.
Nah, man. Come on. You and I both know Fatal Deviation was on no film anywhere. All right. Gardner had to pull out a Betamax for that thing.
Sir, Kevin had it on some weird Irish format. So
this is true.
I thought he threw a gold coin at a rainbow, and that was how they did their movies back there.
No. Oh my gosh. Well, let's do this. I'll tell you what, let me pull up the database. What does it say about Bloodsport here? It says,
okay.
In 1988, Sheldon Litchie felt the wind of Frank Duke's bag of farts and decided to make a movie out of it. After partnering with Newt Arnold, whose directing career could be described as always the bridesmaid, but never the bride, they reached out to a young, mostly sober Jean-Claude Van Damme to act out the fictional world of Frank Duke. The fictional world Frank Duke created and inspired the greatest martial arts character of all time, Johnny Cage.
Bro, okay, I have always wondered if Frank Dukes was the inspiration for Johnny Cage in Bloodsport, because they're
There's no way he's not.
Yeah.
I think Jean-Claude Van Damme, period, is an inspiration for it.
You know, he inspired Flawless Victory. What was it called? Fatal Deviation. That's it.
You're not wrong.
You know, good art inspires good art. That's all I'm going to say.
So. Oh my gosh. I went through a big Mortal Kombat phase for a little bit, and I played several games, and Johnny Cage was questionable at times, but he was always Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Except without the French accent.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, let me read the back of the box you got here. Let's see here. Bloodsport takes you where few have ever gone, inside the hidden Hong Kong arena where elite combatants clash in the Kumite, a little known but hotly contested world championship of full contact fighting. So Joe Rogan's here. No Westerner had ever won this titanic tournament until the arrival of iron-willed American Frank Dukes. Bloodsport.
Who was the iceberg to this titanic tournament?
Bloodsport.
I'm sorry. I need to pause you for a second here, Dallas. Everybody, okay. Here's the thing. I need to tell you, I love reading about what a lot of people will call fake martial arts. And watching stuff on that. And the first thing you will ever learn in fake martial arts 101 is who Frank Dukes is. This guy is a charlatan in the first degree. And and like for real, he is to the martial arts world what Ed and Lorraine Warren is. Makes for great storytelling. Don't get me wrong. Charlatan through and through. So go ahead, Dallas. I just wanted to throw it out there. You're gonna get a lot of sarcastic comments from me about Frank Dukes.
A lot of shade. All right, picking back up. Bloodsport is his story. A true life triumph of bedrock courage, uncanny skill, and steadfast loyalty. As Duke, Jean-Claude Van Damme also enjoyed a true life triumph. This role perfectly suited his appealing mix of physique, charm, and martial arts expertise, and kickboxed his career as a commanding box office action favorite into overdrive. Van Damme has dazzled audiences ever since, playing heroes who simply refuse to lose. And when Van Damme's Dukes steps into the mat, Bloodsport isn't just a sport; it's a war. I like how this went from like, tell me about the movie to, hey, Jean-Claude Van Damme's amazing.
I like how it says heroes that refuse to lose, and my mind goes, and refuse to go on stage unless they've downed their 8-ball of coke. In the meantime, the far better actor is dying of cancer.
Oh, terrible.
Rip
terrible.
Raul Julia, you are a legend.
Word. All right. Why don't you do some trivia for us there, John?
Oh, can I really? Okay. Well, I want to first start out, and I need to see if I can find an exact number for it here. But in this movie, I need to find an exact number here. But there is a martial arts, like a literal martial arts legend in this movie. Can you tell? And it isn't Jean-Claude Van Damme. Apparently, the guy who plays the villain in this movie, his name is Bolo Yeung. And he is a martial arts cinema legend. Yeah, go ahead and look him up on IMDb for me, Dallas.
Got him. Well, hold on. It's not listening. There he is. Bolo Yeung.
Go ahead and tell me, how many movies do you see on there that you recognize?
Oh, goodness gracious.
This might backfire because it just occurred to me that I know more about kung fu movies than the average bear.
Let me scroll through his 110 movies listed as an actor, not stunts, but an actor. Ironheart, I know that one. Double Impact, know that one. So that's 2. Loading more. Bloodsport, 3. Bruce Lee's Dragon Fights Back, 4.
A few moments later.
Okay. I got to tone down my excitement a little bit on this fact now.
The dragon, the hero, 5.
But you get the point. Bro's been in some stuff, right?
Enter the Dragon, 6.
Yes. I forgot he was in Enter the Dragon. That's right. So when I say legend, Homeboy was in Enter the freaking Dragon with Bruce Lee. Okay. Do you know how old he was in this movie?
I don't know. How old was he?
Bro was 42 years old.
Wow.
When he was in Bloodsport versus like 20. I think what was JCVD, I think was like 22 when he did Bloodsport.
Something like that. I thought maybe it was 28.
I mean, I've heard the phrase. I've heard the phrase "black don't crack," but I mean, this guy looked like. Props to Bolo. I mean, that man is legendary, and he was phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
in this movie. And in this movie, though, Jean-Claude Van Damme actually knocked out Bernard Mariano with his elbow, and the scene made it into the movie.
Wow.
So kudos to you, JCVD, for not caring about your co-actors.
To be fair, I've heard of, I mean, in even the best controlled environments where you have martial arts movies, somebody's going to get smacked around. I mean,
for sure.
And it's going to happen. I mean, look at Jackie Chan movies. You look at Bruce Lee's movies.
Oh, 100%.
Jet Li's movies.
You know who's notorious for that?
Who?
Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah,
he's actually known to. Speaking of fake martial artists, check him out. He has been known to like just go full contact on his co-stars just because he needs to feel masculine. I guess I don't know.
Lord.
Also, another fact about this movie: this is one of the very few films that are featuring scenes that were filmed inside the Kowloon walled city before its destruction.
Oh wow! No kidding.
The Kowloon walled city that you see in this movie is the real thing. This is going to say something that you won't understand until you watch this movie, Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Dukes was the actual fight coordinator for this film. When JCVD was cast, Dukes announced that Van Damme wasn't nearly in good enough shape to put him through a 3-month training program. And Van Damme, a world championship martial artist in his own right, called it the hardest thing of his life.
Wow.
Yeah. So schlock meet schlock, I guess. I don't.
Right. To be fair, he was legitimately military. And so our men and women who serve in the military, the training they go through, it's legitimately hard. And he was Marine Corps. And so that's legitimately Marine Corps training is pretty rough. So I mean, I'm not saying that he was top notch, but I could see him pushing them through Marine Corps training.
I'm gonna cry foul where all initial armed service training is tough because that's what boot camp is designed to be. Mm-hmm. The information I've seen on Frank Dukes is none of his actual career training that is on his publicly listed record has anything to do with combat of any sort.
Right.
So liar, liar, pants on fire to him.
Yes.
But we're not here to, we need to back this up because my biases are jumping in because this movie was legitimately like one of the greatest movies of my childhood. So we need to figure out why is this on here?
Well, let's hit the community outreach.
Let's go ahead and do that.
We'll tag team it. All right. First person agreeing with you, homie of mine, Robbie Blake. He says, just the all-time best martial arts movie.
Okay. Well, buddy of mine, Carlos Renfield, says classic.
Renfro?
I said Renfield. Bro. Okay.
He doesn't work for Dracula.
No. Carlos, I am so sorry. Right before the show, we were talking about Josh Berkey. Berkey likes Nicolas Cage, and he was recently in a Dracula movie called Renfield. And I was trying to think of a Nicolas Cage movie to watch with Josh Berkey. It's sorry, my dude. I am so sorry. my friend Carlos Renfro, whose last name I did know, I promise, says classic, loosely based on a real tournament, mindless, violent fun. This I would agree with. Yes.
Fair. Our boy
Why don't
Dale?
why don't you go ahead and read number 4, because that's just going to be weird if I have to read number 4.
Okay. John, are you? Says, surely not everyone was kung fu fighting.
Dale, excuse me. Dale, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cough all over your name, my dude. Says, best Street Fighter movie ever. I would not be surprised if this also inspired that video game series as well.
Oh, Bobby S., who is my father-in-law, says good action. Acting is good action, bad acting. The only good Van Damme movie is Time Cop, because I had the actual plot. It had an actual plot and did depend on the muscles of Brussels to carry it. And so good action, bad acting. So what his thoughts were.
I feel you could say that's just any action movie from this time period, though.
Right.
I mean, Anyway, let's go ahead and get to our expectations then. Dallas, being as I'm the one who pulled this up in outrage and disgust, why don't you go ahead and set your expectations while I try to sift through my feelings, my complex feelings about the situation we're in.
Complex feelings about it. Okay, so my expectations. I watched this as a kid years ago, and I remember enjoying it. So I, however, have grown to learn that the 80s were rough in their storytelling, and power ballads are not my favorite thing. So I expect to see awkward walking around with music playing, senseless violence that's going to be fun to watch, and I think I'll end up enjoying the movie as a whole.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same thing. Like, I haven't seen this movie in a long time. But from what I remember of it, what I'm expecting to see is a lot of really awesome kung fu scenes, intense action, a lot of training, a lot of style over substance in that 80s fashion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But done in very tongue-in-cheek sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my expectation. I'm expecting to love every minute of it. Sort of like, did you ever see Expendables 2?
Yeah.
The second one's my favorite one because they really lean into that cheeky 1980s action. And that's what I'm expecting from this. Speaking of the Expendables 2.
Okay.
JCVD was the bad guy in that movie.
He was, wasn't he?
He was, and he was fantastic in that movie. I was asking myself earlier this week, was there any movie he was ever good in? That was it. I loved him in that movie. All right. Anyway, let's now that we've got the expectations in, are you ready to see a piece of cinematic art?
Alice? I am. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
Look, John, all I'm saying is that you don't have to try to do the splits every time you see a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. It's not good for you, man. You can't bend that way.
Dude, it worked for the guy in Fatal Deviation.
Yeah, but right now you have like a 6-pound bag of like crushed ice on your thigh.
Are you calling me fat, Dallas?
Yes.
Oh, we're rolling. So we're done.
All right, so we're done watching the movie, and it was a movie. And at this point in the show, we're going to share our thoughts, and we're going to try to do spoiler-free thoughts. We're just going to give general thoughts about the film. And just in case you want to watch it. Now, I want those out there for you viewers. John and I are watching it on this lovely VHS they pulled out of the dumpster. But you can watch this for free and legally on Tubi right now. So, John, what are your spoil-free thoughts on this movie?
My spoiler-free thoughts. My spoiler-free thoughts on this movie, that I can sum up this movie. I can sum up this movie without spoiling a single thing in it with one sentence.
Okay,
Dallas, I can. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You are about to be amazed by how much I'm about to sum up this movie with a single sentence, that you're going to be like, wow, this episode's over, by how much I'm about to sum up this movie with a single sentence and how much it does not spoil anything in this movie.
Okay.
My childhood is a lie, Dallas.
Okay, well, join us next week as we talk about Kickboxer and see what happens in John's life there. When you say your childhood is a lie, what are we talking about here, buddy? Are we talking about the fact that you had the Easter bunny still in your life up until last month, or like what's happening here?
Yo, like I remember watching this movie and just being awestruck by every capacity of this movie. Like, you remember how I talked up Best of the Best to you and Bam when we watched that movie, and you remember how horse crap Best of the Best was when we finally watched that movie?
I do recall this.
Do you remember how much Branson talked up Guyver 2 before we watched the movie?
Yep.
Do you see a pattern here?
Oh, I see it. I see it all coming together here.
What happened to my childhood, Dallas? Was it all a lie?
Well, first off, John, you were a child. You still thought Play-Doh tasted good.
Dude, Play-Doh still does taste good.
Oh, we got deeper issues to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen.
Why is your sister walking in?
Just sit on that big long couch over there, John. Oh my gosh. No, I feel you. Definitely. How'd I put this? It's not a movie that aged well. And I don't know if that's a matter of we've seen better, or if it's a matter of we were just young. Although I know other people, we heard other people say how much they love this movie.
Right.
I think we can go spoiler free with this comment. Some of it is, and you and I had a conversation about this earlier about the fighting. Some of the fighting,
a lot of
was
fighting
super off, and like they were not filming punches and kicks well, and so it was clear they were fake. And then there were people who were like, "I'm a martial artist," and now again, I'm gonna put this out there, guys. I am not an expert martial artist whatsoever. I did some classes when I was a kid. As a teenager, did some stuff. I've kept up.
You hear that, Frank Dukes? That he actually has training. My money's on Dallas. If you fight here, I'm going to put it out there right now. Frank Dukes, the bottom shelf challenges you to a kumite.
What? What is happening here? How about no? Okay. The man's 68 years old. We don't need.
No, Dallas, I think we can take him.
Call up the Paul brother. He'll love to do that. He likes fighting old people. So
that's it. We're gonna do Tyson versus Frank Dukes.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, I know enough to know that some of these cats were just they were not good actors, and they did not know what they were doing. There are some people who legitimately are. I could tell they have had training, they know what they're doing, but there are some people I'm like, what are you doing in this scene? And I think that lends itself you mentioned how you've really gotten into watching UFC right now.
Mhm.
And once you see like the real thing of certain stuff, when you see people acting it out and doing it poorly, it's hard to do it. I mentioned it to you, like people who are musicians. I know people who are talented musicians. You included,
Mhm.
and watching movies and shows where somebody's playing an instrument, it drives people like you nuts because you're like, your fingers aren't even in the right spot, or you're not even in the right beat with your drumming.
Or
And
like
so,
when I hear or see people talk about guns in a way that's like, no, that's not how that works.
why do we keep coming back to Fatal Deviation in this conversation? What is happening?
Because again, it's the same movie.
The same movie. Oh
Bro.
my gosh.
Bro, like for real though, it's like never mind. I just train of thought gone. It's
That's
gone.
right. I'll say this. It's like what Bobby said, is that good action, but the acting was bad throughout a lot of this movie.
It's like I feel like I have like some kind of Mandela effect going on when it comes to this movie because it's so bad.
Yeah.
But it's like everything's there. I remember, I mean, like it's not like I misremembered the movie, and like it's not like it was in Branson's case where I'm remembering it with rose-colored glasses, and it just wasn't how I remembered it. Like it's how I remembered it, but I remembered it being good. Right. I don't know how to put it outside of that. And part of it is, yes, I in the past 2 years, I've really gotten into UFC. And while we were watching this movie, I was telling Dallas, that once you see what real violence looks like, unless someone's an actual technician to understand not only how to fight, but the angles that you need to see things in order to make not fighting look real.
Right.
You have to have some real technique in order to do that. And that's just not Frank Dukes. When Frank Dukes is a fight choreographer.
Well, again, that speaks to how bad he was.
Right. And that's partly what I'm saying. But on the other end of it, though, like I remember the action being better. You understand? And it reminds me of, for some of you have been along on the ride with me this year. This year's been the year I've really gotten back into hip hop. Yeah. Thanks to the Kendrick and Drake beef, and you're going to hear a lot about that on the next Loft episode that I've been teasing forever. But I've got LJ previously of the Geeks Under Grace podcast. I don't remember the name of the group that he's with now.
I think it's Comics in the Cross.
Okay, but he's going to hop on with me. We're going to talk about the state of hip hop as a total, because 2024 was wild. But I have my new favorite rapper of all time is Kendrick Lamar. And on his song Euphoria, he made a statement where he said, send them to America to imitate heritage. They can't imitate this violence. And I'm like, yeah, that pretty much describes this movie. The action scenes in this movie is just like it's sort of like watching. Did you ever watch WWF, Dallas?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you remember did you watch it back in the classic WWF with the roided out giants of like Hulk Hogan and
this is back when Hogan was wearing like yellow tights?
Yeah, and Macho Man,
Randy Savage, shower curtain.
Yeah. So classic era. It's like if you were to go back to that era of WWF now and actually watch it, oh, it's so bad.
Yeah.
But everything's there as you remember it. But now that you watch it and you're an adult now and you have a certain grasp on what reality is.
Right.
It's just like, you're like, no, that's not how that works. No, if he did that, that's not how you would react.
Right.
And then you see how the punches are missing, or you're seeing how that slam wouldn't even hurt or do any damage. And your brain you start seeing the cracks. And I think that's what happened to me in this movie. It's like I started seeing all the cracks in it because I had a firmer grasp on reality.
Right.
But this movie did bomb at the box office, like everybody was into it. So it makes me wonder exactly how much cocaine were they doing in the 80s?
I think it was a matter of that it was such a new and novel thing. The martial arts boom was taking place back in the 80s and 90s, and everyone was excited about it. We were on the back end of Bruce Lee. We're on the back end of all, like, Jackie Chan was starting to come into play a little bit. Rumble in the Bronx hadn't dropped just yet, but I mean, he was starting to come up.
Rumble in the Bronx came out either in 91 or 93. I forget which.
Yeah, and which was his American smash hit, but it was starting to take place, and we were so hungry for it because it was a new type of genre. It was a new type of thing we wanted to watch and see. And so I think that's what it was, is it was fun. Well, let's go ahead and get into the spoil section of this. And let's talk specifics about what we liked and didn't like about John's smoldering childhood.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the smoldering remains of my innocence. And we're going to go ahead and dig through it and try to figure out why John's childhood is a complete farce.
I want to start off by
joining me right now, I have my panda spirit guide. Hey, Vi, why don't you go ahead and help me sort through the wreckage of why my entire life is a lie?
Well, I don't know if we can go that deep into things. So that's called the mirror. But I want to point this out. I'm going to shout out to Dale for his comment, because literally the first thing in my notes about this movie is this is a great intro to Street Fighter. Like, it's panning through and you see all these martial artists in their native country fighting, preparing, and then they're preparing for the tournament. Like, this is Street Fighter. The only way it would have been Mortal Kombat is if it was in another world.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing. Like, despite the fact that this movie was not good, I think it was very unique for its time, just because it was you got to understand, at the time MMA wasn't a thing. Like, if you wanted to see people having some kind of combat sports, you were going to watch boxing, you were going to watch wrestling, or go to a karate tournament that is heavily legislated.
Right.
And it's not mixed martial arts. It's one specific martial art only. And so you're not really comparing the martial arts. So in the 80s, when this movie came out, you didn't have any of that. And I think, and I've watched enough documentaries about the beginning of the UFC and the beginnings of MMA through the 90s to know that the movie Bloodsport was kind of what inspired the Gracies and the original owners of the UFC to have the original Ultimate Fighting Championship. And really, it was kind of a mixture of, hey, wouldn't it be cool if that was an actual thing, on top of the Gracies, who invented Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
They were kind of trying to show the world that, hey, you know what, we're superior. So it was kind of like their dojo showing off, on top of the investors being kind of nerding out on the concepts that are being presented in these movies with a kumite or something to that effect. So there was a lot of unique ideas in there that I think sparked the imagination. And I think it was that and that was the kind of the cool thing about the cinema in the 80s is there was a lot that people had to read into the stories and bring their imagination to the table a bit to make the movies work. Whereas we're used to more modern cinematic sensibilities in that you don't have to bring a whole lot of imagination. A lot of what you need to see or think is being spoon fed to you by what's being presented on the screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I did a quick little Google search, and interesting fact. Talk about how big it was in the 80s. This came out in 1988. And we know the martial arts boom ending probably about 91, 92, maybe to 93. I'm trying.
It started to fizzle out in around that time period. I mean, really how these fads happen is they start with the adults and then they kind of start to push down towards the kids. And as the kids grab onto it, the adults let go. So during the early 90s, it was more being pushed down to like Surf Ninjas and
hey, that's a fantastic movie.
It is a fantastic Ernie Reyes. I know that you're aware of us now because you got linked on that article, bro. hit us up, my dude. Like for real. I will hawk any movie that you're doing. 100. I am for sale. My
I'm for sale. What?
I will be your shill. I will be your DJ I will be the DJ Academics to your Drake.
So anyways,
sorry. I what happened? Right. I lost consciousness. We were just talking about a Kumite and then
right. Well, we're talking about how like this whole thing, like it was just a portion of our psyche and everything like that. From my quick research, it looks like the first really American martial arts film. And I'm going to separate that from traditional martial arts films from the greats of like Bruce Lee and all that.
Okay.
Was a movie called Enter the Ninja, which came out in 1981. And it appears to be like the first American ninja movie. And then on the back end of it, also, not back end of it, there's a video game called Karate Champ, which we see featured in this game.
Yes.
And so all these elements, again, we're going, man, this is a great Street Fighter game, but like these are all elements that were just kind of leading into the era of Street Fighter, which Street Fighter itself, I think that it did influence this to a degree because Street Fighter came out August 12th, 1987.
Nice. Very well could be.
Now, I say influences. It influenced Frank Duke's storytelling.
Yes.
That we made a movie based off of.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, I don't know. I think... I mean, really, I think with this movie, we're in the same situation that we were in for Best of the Best, where there really wasn't much of a story to it.
There was a confusing story. Like I was so confused to why they didn't want him to go. Like, why is a young Forrest Whitaker after him? First off, if Forrest Whitaker's after you, you've done something wrong. But I don't know what he did wrong. Bro, he went AWOL? And then why was it just two cops who were all of a sudden very chill? Like, oh, okay, cool. Well, let's have a little roundabout here.
I don't know. And bro, like Forrest Whitaker is such a chill bro to begin with. Like if you've done something to get Forrest Whitaker to go aggro on you, man, you deserve to lose.
I know, right?
Like there's people like I look at, I'm like, I bet they're really super cool to hang out with. Not like just spaz out and go fanboy on, but just like hang out in their house and watch MTV and crack jokes. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like I'd watch Yo MTV Raps with Forrest Whitaker. Is Yo MTV Rap still a thing? Like
I don't know. Is MTV still a thing?
Well, I think they changed it from music television to mediocre.
That was back in the 2000s. Oh my gosh. But anyways, but yeah, like I said, like the storytelling, it was confusing. It's like, why were we chasing him? Why was he? And like the whole thing about the Kumite itself was so far-fetched and just And it was like this whole like nobody knows about it, but we all know about it.
Right.
Like
It's a top secret. It's a top secret illegal kung fu fight that everybody knows about. And there's a news article, and the police only stop Frank Dukes about it because he's an American.
so it just and we're using American with quotation marks. Let's just be real about that.
Facts. And I believe it was in this movie where we heard the classic 1980 phrase, "You can't do this to me. I'm an American."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I got a question. Everyone had their own martial arts style for the movie.
Well,
What was Jackson's martial arts? Was it wrestling? Was it supposed to be WWE?
It's the American version of Drunken Master. I was
so confused by this character.
It's called Ultimate Trailer Park.
Oh my god! Like, how did he get there? Like, they made a big deal about Jean-Claude's because you had to be invited to be present there, right? That was a whole thing.
Maybe the fighters are invited by the predators, like they know who are the dangerous people. You know what I mean? Like they
just kind of weed them out so we know who the target.
I mean, honestly, like they knew something about Homeboy in that third Predator movie.
Right.
The guy from that 70s show. I can't remember his name all of a sudden, but you know what I'm talking about.
I got you.
Like the whole entire time, he's like the gentle guy. And then all of a sudden he pulls out the scalpel and he's like, "Oh, Homeboy's a serial killer." I just spoiled that movie for you. I'm sorry. But you know, it's been out for over a decade. Second Buttercup.
But like the invitation process, legitimately, it was so weird. It's like, where did the invitation come from? It's not like the brother. The kid
they don't explain it. They don't explain it like at all. Like,
right.
And of course, and of course, for those of you out there who are into like, again, reading about this fake martial arts stuff, the fact that they had to just talk about the dim mock once just to throw it out there, like, hey, be sure to talk about the dim mock so people know what the dim mock is. I mean, it was totally the anti shotgun. I can't remember the dude's name, but it's the writing theory that if a shotgun's introduced in the first act of a play, it needs to be fired before the third act is over. I thought this was the same sort of thing. Like if you mention the dim mock at the beginning, it needs to be used somewhere else.
And then when you use it, it does nothing in a fight.
Like,
did you see that he used it in a fight and it did nothing?
Right.
Not he would and his face is all like contorted and everything like that. And then the guy's just like, my belly ribbled.
You know what the you know what the best part,
marmalade.
You know what the best part about that is? Is that it completely mocks Frank Dukes. And the reason is because the dim mock that is advertised that Count Dante originally first made up and Frank Dukes ran with was supposed to be a death touch that was just a series of pressure points that you hit. That it was like the 5-finger palm of death from Kill Bill, basically.
The death touch scene in Batman the Animated Series was more intense than this. But
the point I'm making though is the fact that the guy was just like, "Ow," instead of like, "I'm dead." Just was just kind of like a subtle, "Hey, Frank Dukes is full of crap."
Like I was sitting there waiting and I was like, okay, is his bladder going to explode all of a sudden like that? Like I was waiting for it to happen. And I was like, okay, we're doing nothing. Okay, cool. Oh my gosh. Why did we need a Kumite song?
You know,
you're the musician. Why did we need that?
You know, okay, so these types of movies, these martial arts or combat sports tournament style movies, they all need to, for some reason in the 80s, these types of movies needed to have a soundtrack that was full of power ballads and full of training montage music. And they were, in most cases, it was all just studio musicians that were writing music that was tailored specifically for this movie. And you're going to see it happen again in Kickboxer. You're going to notice that the music is very similar across both movies. It literally sounds like Peter Cetera from Chicago is singing over a hair metal band about you were born a fighter, you were born to rise to the top, nobody else can stop you, you've got to show them you can't be stopped.
So is this like a thing for you, like this genre?
No, it's just I have clear memories.
I'm just curious if this is something that like just inspires you.
You know, this is what fueled me back in the day, because like 80s cinema was 100% a matter of style over substance.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm missing that mindset from this movie. And that's the reason why it feels like my childhood is a lie, is because I was in that style over substance mindset in the 80s because it was the 80s.
Right.
And now that we've grown past that as a society, it feels so outdated to go try to get back into that mindset. If you look at any kind of documentary about the 80s, it's often referred to as the me decade because it was a very self-centered decade. It was all about style and panache and how can I be flashy and be cool.
Right.
And so that's what a lot of media centered around. So
That's fair.
So, and I think that's where the disconnect is in this, because we've already talked about the entire movie.
Yeah.
There's a tournament. There's a tournament. Jean-Claude Van Damme goes into it. There's a bad guy or a big boss man at the end of the tournament that he needs to beat. He does. He wins. America's great. It's the 80s. Yay, Reagan.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yep. That's it. And everything with, I don't know. Again, the storytelling is weird.
It's not weird. It's just there isn't a story.
Like just everything in it, like like there were so many ridiculous parts, like when he's in the alleyway and they pull out the tasers and he's like, let me materialize a trash can lid and ricochet it and tase out these foreign police officers, which should, by the way, in his butt up in a jail somewhere.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And which would have been a better movie. And then like she's like, no, don't fight. And then she's like, go fight, you got this. Like she was like complete like reversal and everything. Like
my childhood is a lie, Dallas.
It happens.
All right, so I mean,
should we rate it?
Yeah, dude. I like this. I think we ran into the same problem with Best of the Best, where we started talking about concepts that we thought about during the movie because there wasn't a story to keep us occupied.
I'm going to point this out here. I was reading the back of the box, and you and I went on a tangent in the middle of me reading the back of the box about other things, and that's basically what we've done this entire podcast. Is we're talking about this movie, but we're not.
Right. We're talking, when we say we're talking about this movie, we're talking about it like you walk about a forest. We're talking around it.
It's like nobody wants to touch it. It's like, oh, there's another thing right there.
Ooh, don't pick it up.
What kind of poop is this? Alien poop. What? No.
Don't touch it. You don't know where it's been.
All right. Well, let's get into our rating system. If you're new to our show, sorry, but because some of you genuinely clicked on it going, oh, I love this movie. And yeah, so here's our ratings. We have a four system rating system here. Top shelf, I need to own this. Middle shelf, maybe if it's streaming, I'll watch it. Bottom shelf, I probably will never watch this again. And then dumpster fire, I will actively try to keep people from watching this movie. We are erasing it from history. And to our knowledge, no movie has ever made it into the dumpster. So, John, since your childhood is smoldering right now, where are you going to put this?
So, yeah, this movie isn't a good movie. And it's not even as good of a movie as I remember it being. And for people out there who were like saying it's the best action movie ever, I'm willing to bet that they're probably making that statement based off of memory instead of recent exposure. I would say before you judge how Dallas and I are about to rate this movie, because I have a feeling he and I are going to be on the same level with this. So before you get upset about it, do me a favor. Before you start sending in angry tweets and angry messages or whatnot, go watch the movie again. It's for free on Tubi. Go watch that movie again, and then come back and then tell us if our ratings are correct after you've watched this movie recently.
Right.
And if you disagree with us, by all means, after you do that, by all means, send us that message. I would be more than happy to talk about your message on the air, and we would discuss that happily. I'll create a new bumper for a mailbag section for those comments. Like I welcome that smoke as long as you're willing to sit down and watch this travesty again. So
that's fair.
With that being said, this movie is a bad movie, but I don't hate this movie. Mm-hmm. This is an entertaining bad movie because it is bad in a way that entertains me. Because does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's sort of that Kroll, sort of bad where it's not good, but it's not, I want to turn it off either. So with that being said, it didn't live up to my nostalgic memories. However, this movie was important. It inspired a lot of things that I enjoy today. I don't think Jean-Claude Van Damme can act his way out of a paper bag. And I think he would, and I think like if given the command to play dead, he would still have issues with it and making it believable. And all you have to do is lay on the ground with your eyes closed. So that being said, I'm going to give it a super low middle shelf. Like if it's on streaming, I've got nothing to do and my wife isn't home and I don't really feel like playing video games and I'm caught up on Ultimate Fighter and I'm caught up on my backlog and I'm caught up on my Audible and I'm caught up on my books and I don't have any podcasts that I have to edit and I don't have any prep I have to do for playing games with strangers, and I don't have to do any of my Japanese, or I don't have to do any continuing education for my certification for work.
1 hour later.
Then I might consider watching it again. And
I've lost track. Did you say middle shelf or not?
I said middle. I said a very low middle shelf.
All right. Good too. All right. So middle shelf for you. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, as John said, it's not a good movie at all. It is terrible. But I had fun watching it.
You guys, I'm hoping that this energy that Dallas and I have right now is transmitting through the recording, because like this stupid energy should be telling you what this movie is. This movie is a junk food and fart jokes style movie, like 100%.
Yeah. So for me here at the bottom shelf, it's a middle shelf film, ladies and gentlemen. This movie across the board, just mid.
Like this movie is like, when it comes to action movies, this movie is like a mayonnaise on white bread sandwich.
Like I don't hate it. I'm not gonna be like, God, just kill it all. If it's on TV, like, and that's the thing, is like Celeste and I we're watching it and we're going, like, we're both having vague memories of watching, and it helped to watch it on Tubi, actually, because there are commercials on Tubi.
It felt like you're watching it on Sunday afternoon on TBS, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It's like mom's cooking a roast in the background. We're just chilling, you know. We may go up and eat dinner and miss like 30 minutes of it. Not know we didn't miss anything because the story doesn't matter, and just move on with our lives. So I'm going to say this. If you're going to watch it, you have to watch it on TBS or something with commercials to get the true experience of this film.
If you can get one of those novelty candles that has like that make it smell like Sunday dinners cooking in the background, it will enhance the experience to a level you won't even understand. I promise you.
Wear a pair of corduroys while you're at it. Oh, you have the texture of the 80s with you.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from you.
Here's the thing. This movie, you won't have a good time watching this movie, but you'll have a good time talking about it afterwards.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
As so many movies we watch are.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, geez. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on over to the weak connection area before we die.
This is a weak connection.
Welcome to the Weak Connection portion of our podcast, where we talk about these movies and try to find something redeemable about them. And good luck, Dallas, because I've got nothing.
I got something for you, buddy. So at one point, there's a portion where Jean-Claude Van Damme is talking to the girlfriend of the week, and he is working through. It's right after the wrestler is in the hospital room, injured, and she's arguing with him about why he needs to go back into this, and he's talking to her. He's like, "Look, I have to do it because I need to show that I'm the best at what I am." Because it's like, you want to be a good reporter, you got your effort into it because there's something to prove. There's something to show. I am doing my very best to be the very best, and that's kind of a underline of most martial art movies, right? Where I gotta be the best I can be. Even Pokemon did it. So, but the whole aspect of just doing your best in whatever situation you're in, that's something we need to do for multiple reasons. One, it's a sign of integrity. It's two, it's something for yourself, but also for John and I as Christians, there's a scripture out there, Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, and whatever you do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men. Our motivation as Christ followers to do what we do is to glorify Christ. And it's in every situation of our lives. I do the best that I can in the mundane things because it gives glory to God. It points back to him. It's a reflection of who he is. In the movie, Jean-Claude, he is pushing this because it's a reflection of Tanaka. He needs to show, if he doesn't do well, it's a reflection on Tanaka's hard work and what Tanaka poured into him. For us, with everything we do as Christians, if we're not giving our best, then it's reflecting back to the Lord in a poor way. And that's a poor testament of who God is and his grace for the world. So that is my weak connection.
Sweet. All right. Well, with all that being said, how about you, everybody out there? Do you agree with our assessment of this movie? Do you think it was better? Do you think it's worse? Tell us why. Hit us up on the socials in the, I think we're on X. We're on the
We're not on X. We're on Instagram and we're on Facebook.
All right. We're on all the meta platforms then.
And Discord.
What's that?
Discord and YouTube.
Oh yeah. And hit us up on the Discord. That's where I'm mostly active. Sometimes I'll pop in over on the Face Space group, but really Discord owns me at this juncture. So go ahead and hit up our Discord and give us a chat. And Dallas can verify. I like to pull people out of our Discords to do stuff on podcasts with me. So if you hang out and get to know us, I might tap you to do stuff. So if that's any incentive, I will buy your affection. So, so that being said, you got anything you want to plug, Dallas, before we switch off?
Just make sure you guys check out the rest of the podcast network. We have We Read Allegedly, where John and Squid and Celeste are doing a great job talking about different books that they bring to the table. They're not requesting books. This is books they're already reading. They're bringing to the table. Just want to put that out there for you. Check out the Gundam Watch. Branson and I were going through the 8th MS team right now. Check out the Spire Fan podcast, which Branson's got to have some new episodes come out with his father actually pretty soon. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And just check out the rest of Geek Devotions, geekdevotions.com.
All right. Well, with that being said, thanks so much for hanging out. Dallas and I sincerely appreciate your continued listening. And until next time, stay fresh, devoted cheese bags.
Peace and love, y'all.
Yeah.